Hello everyone and welcome to another professional prep video. In this video we are going to discuss 2D arrays. Now in Java, and to start I would like to say that if you have not already seen our videos on 1D arrays in Java, I would recommend taking a look at that because this video relates greatly back to that one, as Java uses an arrays within arrays concept. And what I mean by that is in order to construct a 2D array, Java uses many 1D arrays. So keep that logic in mind as we go through this video. So we're going to take a look at a couple different ways to construct 2D arrays in this video. So very similar to 1D arrays. This is how we can declare using size. So this is going to, you see the second brace here that represents that it's a two-dimensional array. It's an array of integers, and its dimensions are 3 by 3. This first number is the number of rows, and the second number is the number of columns. Say we wanted 4 columns instead, we could just change that to a 4. For now, I'm just going to keep it 3 by 3, and that is our first way to create 2D arrays. Now let's take a look at a second way that we can create 2D arrays. In order to do this, you might remember from 1D arrays, we used initializer lists. It's the exact same with 2D arrays. So, oh my bad, actually, I forgot to call it something here. So, integer array, let's call the array A. That's its name, and that's going to be that 3 by 3 array that I was just explaining. Now let's look for an two-dimensional array B. And let's just have 1, 2, 3 in the first row, 4, 5, 6 in the second row, and 7, 8, 9 in the last row. So this is how we use initializer lists to create 2D arrays using these braces, and here we get all of that. And that is how we can use initializer lists, and that's our second way to create 2D arrays. So let's try compiling this. We don't get any output because we have not printed anything, but this tells us that there's no compiling errors. So that's how to create these arrays, initializer lists, and using size. Very similar to 1D arrays. And while we're here, I want to talk a little bit about logic of these arrays as well. So say that we want to print out in 2D array A, we want to print out this. And what does this mean? Well, Java uses indexing. So this is looking for, this represents row index and this represents column index. Now remember that Java starts indexing at 0. So you might be tempted to say, well, this is actually going to be our second row, first column. But no, since Java starts indexing at 0, this is actually going to be a third row, and this is going to be our second column. So that might be a little bit weird to get used to. That's going to be a 0 here because this is matrix A, which has all default values of 0, which Java does it, courtesy of Java. But let's use B, which actually has values now. So let's do that same value for B. So remember, this is row index, and Java starts indexing at 0. So this is actually going to be our third row, represented by this 1D array. Second column, not first column. So that's going to be our 8 right here. Let's print it, and we get 0, 8, just like expected. And that's how we can draw numbers from these arrays. And I would also like to mention that, say we change this to 3, now we don't have a third row, so now we get that index out of bounds exception, which is that runtime error saying that our number here is too high. And that's what you get when you try using 3. Change it back, and we get the 0, 8. And the last thing I want to bring up is an attribute to print out the number of rows and the number of columns in a Java 2D array. And you can do that just by saying, let's say we want to use A. Let's change this to 10 rows and 12 columns. So say that we want to print out a.length. And this is how you print out the number of rows. I'm going to comment out these two. This is how you print the number of rows in a Java 2D array, and you get 10 rows right here. So you might be wondering, how do I print out the number of columns? So we use that same length attribute. It's just that now we got to use that sort of indexing method, and we can do it just like that. That's the code to print out the number of columns in a Java 2D array. And there you see 10 and 12, the dimensions that we have declared for this array. So I hope everyone enjoyed that video and got something out of it. I will see you next video where I'm going to briefly talk about how to print out these 2D arrays in Java. This video was all about creating them and the logic behind them. We are going to use this length attribute in our next video, so keep that in mind. But that's all. Please subscribe to our channel, email me with any questions, and I will see you next video. Thank you very much, everyone.